Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to Star Wars: Heir to the Empire. Now, I'm sure you noticed I'm not wearing my headset, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's not working anymore. I'd like to say that's the reason why I didn't upload the last couple of days, but the other day, the reason I didn't record was because I was hanging out with my friends. I mentioned that in the recordings that I did the night before for Dying Light. We're probably going to tackle the following pretty soon, me and Ryan, so look forward to that. My friend Rob, has suggested a game. I can't remember the title of it anymore, but Tales of something or other. That is a two-player. It looks really fun, so maybe he and I can try that, or maybe Ryan and I. It looks really interesting. It's a lot like the Dot Hack games from way back in the day, like Dot Hack, Infection. What was the next one? Mutation, Quarantine. No, Outbreak and Quarantine. Anyway. And then yesterday, the reason I didn't upload is because I had to take my cat. His name is Clover. Or not Clover, sorry. Why did I say Clover? I was thinking about Clover. He's over there. My cat Jet, he had to go to the vet. He hasn't been eating for about 4 days or so. And I tried to stay up with him last night and get him to eat. And it's just not working. And he's getting so thin. Sorry if you can't hear me. Again, headset's not working. Okay, I'll try and move this as close as possible, and not. That's not a very flattering angle for me. I wonder if there's a way I can have this stand up on something. I have an idea. How's that? Okay. We are in Chapter 15. Sorry for the long introduction. Page 169. Han had fully expected that they would be attacked during the long shield ship journey out from Thrawn. For once, thankfully, his hunch was wrong. The three ships reached the shield ship depot without incident and made a short hyperspace jump together to the outer fringes of the Athega system. There, Chewbacca and Leia replaced Lando aboard his yacht-style ship, the Lady Luck, and started off toward Kashyyyk. Luke waited until they were safely away before securing his X-Wing back from defense posture and heading off on some mysterious errand of his own, leaving Han alone on the Falcon with Lando and 3PO. "She'll be fine," Lando assured him, punching at the nav computer from the co-pilot seat. "She's as safe now as she's ever likely to be, don't worry." With an effort, Han turned from the viewport to face him. There was nothing to see out there anyway. The Lady Luck was long gone. "You know, it's almost exactly the same thing you said on Boardy, I suppose," he reminded Lando sourly. "That botched Dolphrimia run, remember? You said it'll be fine, don't worry about it." "Yes," Lando chuckled, "but this time I mean it." "That's nice to know. So what do you have planned for entertainment?" "Well, the first thing we ought to do is have 3PO send off a message to Coruscant," Lando said. "Give the impression that Leia's aboard to any Imperials who might be listening. After that, we could move a couple of systems over and send another message, and after that..." He threw Han a sideways glance. "I thought we might do a little sightseeing." "Sightseeing?" Han echoed suspiciously. Lando was practically glowing with innocence, a look he almost never used except when he was trying to sucker someone into something. "You mean as in flying all over the galaxy looking for replacement mole miners?" "Han!" Lando protested, looking hurt now. "Are you suggesting I'd stoop so low as to try and con you into helping me run my business?" "Forgive me," Han said. trying not to sound too sarcastic. I forgot, you're respectable now. So what sights are we going to see? Well, casually, Lando leaned back and laced his fingers together behind his head. You mentioned earlier that you hadn't been able to get in touch with a Talon card. I thought we might take another crack at it. Han frowned at him. You serious? Why not? You want cargo ships, and you want a good slicer. The card can supply both. I don't need a slicer anymore, Han said. Leia's as safe now as she's ever likely to be, remember? Sure, until someone leaks the news that she's there, Lando countered. I don't think the Wookiees would, but there are non-Wookiee traders flying in and out of Kashyyyk all the time. All it takes is one person spotting her, and you'll be right back where you were when you first got here. He cocked an eyebrow. And Card might also have something on his mysterious mysterious Imperial commander who's been running you in circles lately. The commander who is almost certainly also the man behind the attacks on Leia. You know how to make contact with Card? Not directly, but I know how to get his people. And I thought as long as we had 3PO and his umpteen million languages aboard anyway, we'd just go ahead and cut a new contact path. Yeah, that'll take time. Not as much as you might think, Lando assured him. Besides, a new path will cover our trail better. Yours and mine both. Han grimaced, but Lando was right, and with Leia safely hidden away, at least for now, they could afford to play it cautious. All right, he said, assuming we don't wind up playing tag with a Star Destroyer or two. Right, Lando agreed soberly. The last thing we want is to draw the Imperials onto Card's trail. We've got enough enemies out there as it is. He tapped the ship's intercom switch. 3PO, you there? Of course, Leia's voice returned. Come up here, Lando told the droid. Time for your debut performance. Oh dear. The command room was filled with sculptures instead of pictures this time, over 100 of them, lining the walls and holographic niches, as well as scattered around the floor on ornate pedestals. The variety of, as Pelion had come to expect, was astonishing, ranging from human-style chunks of simple stone and wood to others that were more tethered living creatures than works of art. Oh. Each was illuminated by a hazy globe of light, giving a sharp contrast to the darkness of the spaces between them. Admiral? Pelion called uncertainly, trying to see around the artwork through the gloom. Come in, Captain. Thrawn's coolly modulated voice beckoned. Modulated. Over at the command chair, just above the hazy white of the Grand Admiral's uniform, two glowing red slits appeared. You have something. Yes, sir, Pelion told him, walking to the console ring and handing out a data card over it. One of our probes in the outer Athega system has picked up Skywalker and his companions. And his companions, Thrawn echoed thoughtfully. He took the data card, inserted it, and for a minute watched the replay in silence. Interesting, he murmured. Interesting indeed. What's that third ship, the one that's maneuvering to link with the Millennium Falcon's dorsal hatch? We've tentatively identified it as the Lady Luck, Pelion said. Administrator Lando Calrissian's personal ship. One of the other probes copied a transmission stating that Calrissian was leaving Naklon on a purchasing trip. Do we know that Calrissian did in fact board the ship at Naklon? No. Not for certain, sir. We can try to get that information, though. Unnecessary, Thrawn said. Our enemies are clearly past the stage of such childish tricks. Thrawn pointed to the display where the Millennium Falcon and the Lady Luck were now joined together. Observe, Captain, their strategy. Captain Solo and his wife are probably the Wookiee Chewbacca board their ship on Naklon, while Calrissian similarly boards his. They fly to the outer Athega system, and there they make a switch. Pelion frowned. But we've... Shh. Thrawn cut him off sharply, holding up a finger for silence. His eyes on the display. Pelion watched too, as absolutely nothing happened. After a few minutes, the two ships separated, maneuvering carefully away from each other. Excellent, Thrawn said, freezing the frame. 4 minutes, 53 seconds. They're in a hurry, of course, locked together so vulnerably, which means... His forehead furrowed in concentration, then cleared. 3 people, he said, a touch of satisfaction in his voice. 3 people transferred, in one direction or the other between those 2 ships. Yes, sir, Pelion nodded, wondered how in the Empire the Grand Admiral had figured that one out. At any rate, we know that Leia Organa Solo remained aboard the Millennium Falcon. Do we? Thrawn asked, lazily polite. Do we indeed? I believe we do, sir, yes, Pelion said, quietly insistent. The Grand Admiral hadn't seen the entire playback after all. Right after the Lady Luck and Skywalker's X-Wing left, we intercepted a transmission from her that definitely originated from the Millennium Falcon. Thrawn shook his head. A recording, he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. No, they're cleverer than that. A voice-print-doctored droid then, probably Skywalker's C-3PO protocol droid. Leia Organa Solo, you see, was one of the 2 people who left with the Lady Luck. Pelion looked at the display. I don't understand. Consider the possibilities, Thrawn said, leaning back in his chair and steepling his... Oh, okay, yeah. I've never been really good at that. His fingertips in front of him. 3 people start out aboard the Millennium Falcon, 1 aboard the Lady Luck. 3 people then transfer, but neither Solo nor Calrissian is the type to turn his ship over to the dubious command of a computer or a droid. So each ship must end up with at least 1 person aboard. You follow so far? Yes, sir, Pelion said, but that doesn't tell us who is where, though. Patience, Captain, Thrawn interrupted him. Patience. As you say, the question now is that of the final makeup of the crews. Fortunately, once we know there were 3 transfers, there are only 2 possible combinations. Either Solo and Organa Solo are together aboard the Lady Luck, or else Organa Solo and the Wookiee are there. Unless one of the transfers was a droid, Pelion pointed out. Unlikely, Thrawn shook his head. Historically, Solo has never liked droids, nor allowed them to travel aboard his ship except under highly unusual circumstances. Skywalker's droid and its astromech counterpart appear to be the sole exceptions, and thanks to your transmission data, we already know that the droid has remained on the Millennium Falcon. Yes, sir, Pelion said, not entirely convinced, but knowing better than to argue the point. Shall I put out an alert on the Lady Luck, then? That won't be necessary, Thrawn said, and this time the satisfaction came through clearly. I know exactly where Leia Organa Solo is going. Pelion stared at him. You're not serious, sir. Perfectly serious, Captain, Thrawn said evenly. Consider, Solo and Organa Solo have nothing to gain by simply transferring together to the Lady Luck. The Millennium Falcon is faster and far better defended. This exercise only makes sense if Organa Solo and the Wookiee are together. Thrawn smiled up at Pelion. And given that, there is only one logical place for them to go. Pelion looked at the display, feeling slightly sandbagged. But the Grand Admiral's logic tracked clean. Kashyyyk? Kashyyyk, Thrawn confirmed. They know they can't evade our Nagri forever, so they've decided to surround her with Wookiees for all the good it will do them. Pelion felt his lips twitch. He'd been aboard one of the ships that had been sent to Kashyyyk to capture Wookiees for the Empire's slave trade. It may not be as easy as it sounds, Admiral, he cautioned. Kashyyyk's ecology can best be described as a layered death trap, and the Wookiees themselves are extremely capable fighters. That didn't sound good. Well, everything seems to be okay. So are the Nagri, Thrawn countered coolly. Now, what of Skywalker? His vector away from Thega was consistent with a course toward Jomark, Pelion told him. Of course, he could easily have altered it once he was out of range of our probes. He's going there, Thrawn said, lip twisting in a tight smile. Our Jedi Master has said so, hasn't he? The Grand Admiral glanced at the chrono on his display board. Sorry. We'll leave for Jomark immediately. How much time, lead time do we have? A minimum of 4 days, assuming that Skywalker's X-Wing hasn't been overly modified. More than that, depending on how many stopovers he has to make on the way. He'll make no stopovers, Thrawn said. Jedi use a hibernation state for trips of such length. For our purposes, though, 4 days will be quite adequate. He straightened in his chair and touched a switch. The command room's lights came back up. The holographic sculptures fading away. We'll need 2 more ships, he told Pelion. An indicator cruiser. Interdictor. I don't know, I've never seen that before. cruiser to bring Skywalker out of hyperspace where we want him, and some kind of freighter. An expendable one, preferably. Pelion blinked. Expendable, sir? Expendable, Captain. We're going to set up the attack as a pure accident, an opportunity that will seem to have arisen while we were investigating a suspicious freighter for rebellion munitions, he cocked an eyebrow. That way, you see, we retain the option of turning him over to Kaboth if we choose to do so, without even Skywalker realizing he was actually ambushed. Understood, sir, Pelion said. With your permission, I'll get the Chimera underway. He turned to go and paused. Halfway across the room, one of the sculptures had not disappeared with the others, sitting alone in its globe of light. It slowly writhed on its pedestal like a wave in some bizarre alien ocean. Yes, Thrawn said from behind him. That one is indeed real. It's very interesting, Pelion managed. The sculpture was strangely hypnotic. Isn't it? Thrawn agreed, his voice sounding almost wistful. It was my one failure out on the fringes, the one time when understanding a race's art gave me no insight at all into its psyche. At least not at the time. Now I believe I'm finally beginning to understand them. I'm sure that will prove useful in the future, Pelion offered, diplomatically. I doubt it, Thrawn said, in the same wistful voice. I wound up destroying their world. Pelion swallowed. Yes, sir, he said, starting again for the door. He winced only a little as he passed the sculpture. Now, I don't know if it's mentioned in this book, in one of the next ones, or in the sequel series, the sequel duology, rather. But it's implied at some point that the world he ended up destroying was General Grievous's home world. I hope that's still true. What the heck? Oh, okay. Anywho, that was chapter 15. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of Ryan and me playing Dying Light. I am awful. I wish I had his grapnel. But also, I wish you guys could see him be playing instead of me, so that it would be more entertaining for you. Let me know what you think, and until next time, goodbye everybody.